said this match would go one of two ways. This was either going to be a complete train wreck, or it was going to turn out to be a lot more entertaining than I expected it to be. Didn't exactly know which way this Cody and Shaq match was going to go. We got our answer tonight, right at the beginning of the show. And I got to give credit where credit is due. This turned out to be much better than I expected it to be. I got to give kudos to all involved. They pulled it off. You know, it can be hard to do a celebrity match. You got somebody in there who's not a wrestler, who's not properly trained, who's a little older the way that Shaq is. You have Jade Cargill. We've never seen her have a single match before. And they put the two of them together as a tag team. But whoever booked this match, whoever laid it out, whoever set it up, pitch perfect. It was the highlight of tonight's AEW Dynamite show for Wednesday, March 3rd. I am the Solomonster. This was the go-home episode of Dynamite to the Revolution pay-per-view, or as Paul Wight called it tonight, the Evolution pay-per-view. Apparently, we're getting our second ever women's Evolution pay-per-view on Sunday. This was really, I think, in a lot of ways, the tale of two shows. The first hour felt like there was so much going on. And I would say the first hour was just a lot of fun. I enjoyed the opening match. I enjoyed the NWA nostalgia. We had Tully Blanchard wrestling his first match in, I think, something like 13 or 14 years. We had a J.J. Dillon cameo. We got a little shot of the old NWA United States Championship belt. There were some good matches on the show tonight, even the women's match that came a little bit later on. The second hour, though, was very middle of the road compared to the first hour. So I thought the first hour, it just felt like boom, boom, boom. There was a lot of things going on, one right after the other. They don't really give you a chance to breathe on this show. And then the second hour was sort of the come down hour. I wasn't really overly enthusiastic about a lot of what we saw in hour two. That main event I thought was very, I think pedestrian would be a good word for it. I would not have put that as the main event, but they wanted to get the big brawl at the end where everybody in the Battle Royal on Sunday comes out and beats each other up. We've seen that happen a million times before. But this was really all about the Shaq match. If you're being perfectly honest, if you take that opening match out, this show is just not as fun. But I have to say, very impressed. Very impressed by that opening match tonight. Hit that like button. Super chats are open. You are going to see them coming in as we go along here. I will read each and every single one of your super chats, but please, if you would hit that thumbs up before anything else, that always helps out the channel, so I appreciate that. What's going on, guys? As everybody is filing on into the chat, I do want to show you guys one thing on your screen for those of you who like to browse and peruse Pro Wrestling Tees. There is an ongoing sale, Merch Madness, right now. You can get 20% off everything on Pro Wrestling Tees, including stuff in the Sound Off store. We got about 2 or 3 dozen t-shirts up there in our store. Now you can get 20% off everything right now, all the way through Monday. Just use the code MADNESS. Ooh, yeah. Use the code MADNESS at checkout, and you can get yourself 20%, all of that good stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees. So go ahead and do that. If that's your thing. T-shirts. A lot of people buy wrestling shirts. And this Sunday, I will be live after the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. So as soon as the pay-per-view goes off the air, come on back here to the channel. I'll have a full recap and rundown of all the action on the pay-per-view. We're going to be doing another Wrestle Rumble giveaway. Somebody is going to be winning. It's a winner-take-all contest. So there's a whole bunch of AEW replica belts. I believe entries are now closed. You can check it out on WrestleRumble.com, but we'll do that drawing live on the air on Sunday, so come on back and check that out. It's always a good time after these pay-per-views. Now, let's get into what I believe. I think we would all agree. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think we would all agree that this was probably the highlight of the night. That's at least based on some of the initial super chats I saw coming in. You guys seem to be in agreement with me. It was Cody and Red Velvet taking on Shaquille O'Neal and Jade Cargill. And Shaq comes out, and he is looking just absolutely gigantic. I mean, he's a gigantic guy anyway, but I think in AEW you have so many smaller guys that he just looks that much bigger. He just towers over everybody. They build him at 365 pounds. He looks like every bit of it. And it was Cody and Shaq starting things off. And Cody tries for an arm twist. Trying some basic wrestling maneuvers here. Shaq just shoves him down with ease. And then we saw something I never thought I would see myself watching. I never thought I would hear myself saying. We have Shaquille O'Neal in a collar and elbow tie-up. He is doing Wrestling 101 here with Cody Rhodes. Would have been nice to see some of that training maybe in some of these vignettes on Dynamite. See Shaq rolling around and doing drop toe holds and that kind of stuff. But they had a collar and elbow tie-up. Cody forces him into the corner, starts laying in some shots. Shaq just kind of laughs it off. Turns around, throws Cody into the corner, and he just starts chopping the shit out of Cody Rhodes. Those big bear paws. Just starts chopping away, hits a back body drop, put Cody about 10 feet in the air. Jade Cargill tags herself in. So, you have Shaq's initial 60 seconds, 90 seconds. He looks good. He was doing some dancing. He looked like Shane McMahon if Shane McMahon put on about 150 pounds. He was moving around. He was moving slow. He was taking his time. Shaq did not want to gas out. Then Jade tags herself in. So now we switch over to Jade. What are we going to see here? We've never seen Jade Cargill have a match before. We've seen her flexing and working out in the gym. We've seen her shooting hoops on the basketball court. But we've not seen her in the ring. This is our first time being able to see what she can do inside the ring. Red Velvet comes in. Jade takes her down with a bicycle kick. And Red Velvet fights back, overpowered by Jade Cargill. I mean, this woman looks like she's built out of stone. Red Velvet is about half her size. So she takes her down with ease. Red Velvet hits a diving crossbody. Jade Cargill rolls through, hits a fall-away slam. And then hits a kip-up, like she's Shawn Michaels from 1996. So far, so good. Very limited in what they're doing, but you don't want to do too much at once. So far, so good. So then Cargill's over in the corner. She's provoking Cody. And Cody comes into the ring. He knocks Shaq off the apron. So now Shaq is standing on the floor. All of a sudden, in the crowd, Billy Gunn is there every week. And Billy Gunn is there with his sons. Austin Gunn is there. And Austin Gunn has a steel chair. I guess, now are his sons part of this Nightmare family? I've talked about the Nightmare family before. I feel like the Nightmare family is almost like it's turning into a modern day version of the NWO, which just expanded and expanded and expanded. You had like an A, B, C, and D team version of the NWO. I feel like the Nightmare family is just adding more and more people every week. So maybe they are. Maybe they're part of the Nightmare crew. I don't know. But he hit Shaq from behind with a chair. Not really sure why, but he did. And that turned out to be a bad move. And he starts beating up the Nightmare family. He's beating up QT Marshall, who's at ringside. And the camera pans over. And Cody and Jade Cargill are standing outside. Off the top rope, out to the floor comes Red Velvet with this giant moonsault, which looked very scary. I wasn't sure if somebody got hurt on the landing, but everybody was okay. So she wipes out everybody with the moonsault. Back in the ring, Cargill locks in the figure four on Red Velvet, doing some more posing. At one point, she dropped down in the middle of the match and did 5 push-ups. So she's applying a figure four leg lock. They at least taught her some moves. She actually knew some moves. In fact, she busted out an Arn Anderson specialty about a minute or two later, which I'm about to get to. But she releases the hold, and she heads outside to the floor. And she picks up the ring skirt, and she slides out a table. And she starts setting a table up on the outside. But Red Velvet comes out to attack. Red Velvet then pulls out a second table from underneath the ring and begins setting it up next to the first table. So now we know somebody is going through a table, we just don't know who. I will say, I was not expecting it to be who it was. This big bump of the match, it did surprise me. So now you got 2 tables side by side outside the ring. Red Velvet tags in Cody, and he's in the ring, Shaq is in the ring, and Shaq is having fun. Shaq has a big smile on his face. He wants to do a test of strength. Cody finally agrees. Cody kicks him in the gut. And Shaq hits a knee lift. Shaq hits a power bomb on Cody. Kind of looked like Brian Cage powerbombing Sting a few weeks ago. Just folded him up. Although Cody no-sold it. Cody totally no-sold this powerbomb because as Shaq bent over, Cody threw up the old Rhodes right hand and immediately got back to his feet. And as Shaq kind of fell into the ropes and came off the ropes, I'm going to assume that this was meant to be a big body, like a regular body slam. Didn't quite turn out that way. Turned out that he gave Shaq a Lex Luger hip toss slam on Yokozuna on the Intrepid, which is to say it was not really a body slam. It was more like half a slam, more like a hip toss kind of. To be fair to Cody, he did come into this match. He has a partial tear. I don't remember which shoulder, but he's got a partial tear in one of his shoulders. So I don't know that slamming a 365-pound, this is not barbell weight. It's not lifting weights in the gym. This is 365 pounds, as Jesse Ventura once said of Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. This is 365 pounds of living human flesh. Probably not the smartest thing for him to be doing anyway, but he slammed Shaq. So the women tag in, they start trading strikes. Red Velvet hits the ropes, comes off, and Jade Cargill hits what was actually a very impressive-looking Arn Anderson-esque spine buster. Arn Anderson, ironically, was standing there at ringside watching the whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who showed her the move. So she hits this very good-looking spine buster, goes for the cover. Cody breaks up the count, comes in and yanks her off. So this was the big spot of the match. Shaq is on the apron. He has positioned himself exactly where he needs to be, because Shaq was on the other side of the ring. I didn't really notice that he had maneuvered himself around to the other side where the tables were, and he was perfectly positioned. Cody hits the ropes. He comes off with a dive, dives right into Shaq, and Shaq falls backwards off the apron and crashes through the two tables down below. Yes, Shaq took a table bump in his very first... Well, it all depends. Would you count the Battle Royal at WrestleMania 5 years ago as his first match? See, because I would. To me, this was his first formal pro wrestling match, like singles or tag. So we'll call it his first match. His first match, he's taking a table bump. Now look, Shaq is a big guy. Shaq is a monster, but he's also almost 50 years old. He's had injuries. I see him in all the Icy Hot commercials. He's going to need some Icy Hot after this spot. I was not expecting him to take a table bump off the apron. So that was kind of the highlight of the match. That was the highlight of the show. Red Velvet in the ring hits a spear on Jade Cargill. The production team completely missed it. They had to show a replay later on. Like just as she was going for the spear, they cut away to Cody and Shaq, and we missed the whole move. But in any event, she tried to follow up on that. Jade Cargill overpowered her, hit a wheelbarrow facebuster for the win. I guess that would be the old, wouldn't that be the old Glam Slam from Beth Phoenix? Face planted her right in the mat. 1, 2, 3. Jade Cargill wins it for her team. If you look up the word miracle, and there have been a lot of sports miracles over the years, right? Wasn't there? There's a famous one in hockey back in the 80s. You can go down the list. There have been a ton of different sports miracles, miracle games over the years. Well, there is a new example that will be cited in the Oxford Dictionary or Webster's Dictionary when you look up the word miracle from now on. It's going to be this match. Somehow they pulled it off. I don't think this match could have turned out any better than it did. This was so much better than it had any right to be. This was a lot of fun, honestly. I had a lot of fun watching this. And I said to you last week, as a podcaster, as a content creator, this was going to be fun no matter what, because either they would impress me or it would turn out to be one of the worst things I've ever seen and I could just tear it to shreds. But I can't do that. I can't do that because it was the best thing on the entire show. So kudos to all four and whoever else was involved in putting this match together. I thought that this, now that we can look back on it, as good as it went, this would have been a great attraction for the pay-per-view on Sunday. And I'm sure that would have been their plan had Shaq not had to work All-Star Weekend for the NBA. So that's why they did it on TV. But this would have been a fine attraction, I think, on pay-per-view. And yes, I'm aware, those in the chat, did I say pictures? I didn't mean to say pic. I am aware the dictionary does not have pictures. I meant citing an example. So if the dictionary that you are reading gives examples of a word, and maybe they all don't, this is going to be the new example for the word miracle. There you go. Happy now? I'm aware there are no photos in the dictionary. If you look up the word nitpick, your picture would be next to it, okay? Ease up. Shaq, he did more than I thought he would. Like I said, I didn't expect him to be taking a bump through the table. I loved his selling of the bump, by the way. He just laid there like he was dead. He just laid there like he was dead. He didn't immediately get up. He wasn't moving around. He wasn't cracking a smile. He laid there like he was just completely unconscious. As you should sell a bump like that. Although it was a little weird what happened a little bit later. Because, well, I'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to mention this too, as far as this match goes, because, a lot of the talk is going to be about Shaq and how he did and taking the big table bump. But I think the women in this match need to get some love as well. Red Velvet was not supposed to be in this match. Red Velvet was a late replacement for Brandy Rhodes when Brandy Rhodes got pregnant and couldn't be in this match. Now, I can't sit here and say it was a better match without Brandy. I think they could have probably, written in some fun spots with her and Jade. It probably was a better match because Red Velvet is a wrestler and Brandy Rhodes really is not. I know Brandy Rhodes has wrestled before, but I don't look at her as a wrestler. She doesn't wrestle full time. Red Velvet is a wrestler. She stepped in to a situation that, again, was not originally meant for her, and I think she did as good of a job as could have been expected. I think she realized that this was the biggest opportunity of her career. She went out there and she held her own. And I think she deserves a lot of credit for that. But Jade Cargill, now that I've had a chance to see her, she clearly is very green. She clearly is very inexperienced. Her first match. So yes, very inexperienced. It was her first professional wrestling match. That being said, there is a certain vibe that she has. Maybe it's her look, the way she carries herself. I know she does the posing a lot because she probably doesn't know what else to do. She comes off as a star. And I think if she continues to improve over time, she could turn out to be a huge star in that women's division in this company. She just has that look. There's just something about her, the way she carries herself. She is a star if she continues to improve. If not, then she'll fizzle out and we won't even be talking about her in 3 years. But I think in watching her out there were flashes of stuff, certain moves that she hit. Again, very early in her career. But if she is coachable, and if she continues to improve and get better, I think this woman could end up being the biggest female attraction they have in the entire company. I think she has the potential to be just that. Now, the weird thing I was talking about a second ago is they, after the commercial, cut to Tony Schiavone after they had showed Shaq being loaded into an ambulance. And then Tony Schiavone is behind the ambulance, and apparently Tony Schiavone, he can't wait. This cannot wait. He has to open the ambulance door. Instead of letting the ambulance drive away to help this man who's been presumably injured, Tony Schiavone says, fuck that. I'm going to open this door so I can see for myself what's going on. Maybe I could even get a word with this guy. And he opens the door, and Shaq is gone. There is no Shaquille O'Neal. The back of the ambulance is empty. Shaquille O'Neal, he is channeling the Fiend. Didn't we see this with the Fiend? Apparently Shaquille O'Neal has been taking tips from the Fiend. And not only that, we never saw him again for the rest of the show. I thought he would come back out at the end or something. No, he just disappeared. I guess he didn't want to look weak by being driven off on a stretcher. So Shaquille O'Neal showing off some of his fiendish magical powers here on the show. Kazam. Okay, that's right. Boy, now you're taking me back. I have not seen the movie Kazam probably since it first came out. I don't think I ever saw it again. I have no interest in seeing it again. But I guess, yeah, channeling that maybe. Wasn't that the Three Wishes, right? He was the genie from the lamp or something. Yeah, he was showing some Shaq Fu, as you see in the thumbnail of this video. Some Shaq Fu. Here on the show tonight. Again, thank you for all the super chats coming in. I am going to read each and every single one of them. So if you would like to send those in, I promise you we will get to those a little bit later on here in the stream. Thank you for joining me here on a Wednesday night. As we roll along here, Ray Phoenix and Pac, they were on the show. They were in a squash. Quick win over John Skyler in D3. I don't know what happened to D1 and D2, but we had D3 on the show tonight. 450 from Pac, Fire Thunder Driver from Phoenix. That pretty much took care of those two. Don't have a lot else to say about it. We had Chris Jericho and MJF. They were having a press conference. I waited all week. They told us last week that this was going to be a press conference with wrestling media. I waited and I waited and I waited for my email or my DM or my tweet, and I never got one. They were too afraid of the questions that I might ask, so I never got invited. Instead, they invited Robbie Fox from Barstool Sports. Robbie seems like a nice guy. Looks like he's 12 years old. Looks younger than Marco Stunt. He was there. Actually, the other guy from Barstool, I don't remember his name. Jeremy, maybe. There was another guy with blonde hair from Barstool Sports. I'm pretty sure he was the same guy who was doing the kickoff show to the recent NXT TakeOver. He was there. They had people come up to a microphone and ask questions. Dasha was the moderator. Jericho and MJF were in the ring with the rest of the Inner Circle. So Robbie Fox, the Barstool Sports kid, got his parents' permission to ask a question. I couldn't hear what it was because his mic wasn't working, so I have no idea what he asked. But Jericho was talking about his career accomplishments. He talked about being a multi-time World Tag Team Champion. And he mentioned Dwayne Johnson's name. He mentioned Paul Wight. And Jericho's had many tag team partners over the years, right? Going back to his early days. It was him and Lance Storm. Or the Thrill Seekers. See, Jericho and Lance Storm, Jericho and Benoit. He didn't mention his name. Jericho and Christian. Who am I missing? I mean, in AEW, yeah, Sammy Guevara, but in WWE, I thought maybe he had other partners. Briefly Edge, right? Jericho, which turned out to be actually a fun tag team. I think that might be all of them. I don't know if I'm forgetting another partner. I probably am. Anyway, up to the microphone comes Conrad Thompson. Now, I would sit here and tell you that it was Conrad Thompson of Such and Such podcast. He introduced himself as Conrad Thompson from Grilling JR. But really, I don't even know how many podcasts this guy hosts anymore. He's got Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Bruce Pritchard, Eric Bischoff, Kurt Angle. Am I missing anybody else? He's got a lot of fucking podcasts. But somehow he found time to come to this show. And he wanted to ask a question. He asked about what are the chances of Sammy Guevara coming back to the Inner Circle. MJF called him turkey tits and told him to take a walk. So he had to know that was coming. As soon as Conrad walked to the mic and I saw MJF in the ring, I didn't know he was going to call him turkey tits, but I knew that it was probably going to be something that would make me laugh, and it did. So MJF was talking about being an active, when they were talking about the Bucks and what they did to Papa Buck. I think it was actually the other Barstool Sports guy. What happened? Why'd you do what you did to Papa Buck? MJF said that it was an act of self-defense. He was very upset that his suit got all bloody. said it wasn't his idea. Santana took the mic. Santana and Ortiz were there. Santana said that there was not a line the Inner Circle would not cross. Up next to the podium was another one of Conrad's podcast buddies. Eric Bischoff comes up to the mic. He's made a few appearances before. He's got his little shtick with Chris Jericho where they kind of needle each other. And he asked if Jericho, if any of them knew the condition of Papa Buck. He asked how stupid it was to give more motivation to the Young Bucks ahead of their match at Revolution. Jericho said they don't know Papa Buck's condition, nor do they care. And that brought out the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick. They talk about how their dad is the greatest person in the world. Papa Buck is just the best. I'm sure. Talking about everything he taught them, everything Jericho and MJF's parents apparently did not teach them. It was those teachings that allowed them to help create AEW. It's touching. Touching. Very touching. A very touching speech from the Young Bucks. They wouldn't be where they are today were it not for Papa Buck. There would be no AEW. This is what they said. Fuck everybody else who made this company a reality, namely Tony Khan. Without Tony Khan's money, there would be no AEW. But the Young Bucks said without Papa Buck, there would be no us, and without us, there would be no AEW. That's basically what they were saying. So the Bucks then hit super kicks on Jericho and MJF. Big brawl ensued with the Inner Circle. Good Brothers came out. I love how at the beginning it was like, it felt a little bit like, oh, this is kind of a big deal. The Good Brothers, they're the Impact Tag Team Champions. Now they just show up. They're like background noise. It's like, oh, there's the Good Brothers. And they're the tag team champions for one of the other company. I just think it's funny. It's like, I didn't even realize they were there. It's like, oh, there they are. There's Anderson and Gallows. Doesn't feel like a big deal at all. They're just two guys. Brandon Cutler runs out. Referees come out, trying to break it up. Santana and Ortiz get placed on tables. Actually, I don't remember if it was Ortiz on stage or on the bottom. One of the members of Proud and Powerful was laid out across a table on the stage so that Nick Jackson could climb to the top of the entranceway to do a dive. At the same time that Matt Jackson dove off the stage down onto the other member of Proud and Powerful on a table on the floor. So they tried to sync it up just right, and they pretty much did. I just thought it was weird. We just had a big table bump in the opening match, right? It doesn't get any bigger than Shaquille O'Neal taking a table bump. And 2 segments later, we have these two guys taking table bumps. Was that really necessary? Did we really need that? I don't think we did. The segment was fine. You know, it's whatever. It's a way to build up the match. This next thing I enjoyed. They did not have Jon Moxley on the show. They did not have Kenny Omega on the show, but they had a video package to promote the barbed wire exploding death match between them on Sunday. And they were showing highlights of some of the past exploding barbed wire death matches in Japan, and how appropriate that in this video they had comments that they spliced in on video from Atsushi Onita. Onita is the deathmatch king. He is the innovator of this type of match. If you are going to have an exploding barbed wire death match, Onita is the guy that you want to have on your TV show talking about it. It would have been nice, though, for the announcers maybe to talk a little bit about him and who he was. But this was just, clearly it was just meant for the hardcore fans. They expect that they already know who he is. If Excalibur said something, it was very brief. But I thought that was very cool, actually, that they had Onita on video commenting on this. And I will say that this is not my type of match. I'm going to watch the match on Sunday. I may end up really enjoying the match. I don't really care for these exploding barbed wire, garbage matches. They are, some people love them. I don't love them, but I'm going to give it a chance. If you're going to do one, though, this was a pretty cool way of building it up. Because this right here, you're calling out to those fans who know Onita, and they're like, oh, that's cool. They got him to comment on this. They're showing, flesh being torn. And they had all these crazy highlights in this video package. I thought they did a good job of building it up and getting you pumped and excited for it. It's just not my thing. But hey, maybe they'll make me a believer. Maybe they'll turn me into a deathmatch believer on Sunday. We'll see. And Renee Young, I saw Renee Young on Twitter. She made the comment after the video aired. She said, if my husband wasn't involved in this match, I would actually be very excited for this death match. But obviously, as she watches from home with her child coming in just a few months, she doesn't seem all that excited to watch her husband get blown to smithereens on Sunday. I can't imagine why. I don't know why she wouldn't love to see that. Excalibur. We have some Excalibur fans in the chat. Excalibur was voted in the very polarizing Wrestling Observer Awards as the announcer of the year for 2020. He beat out Tony Schiavone. He beat out not Chris Jericho. He beat out Jim Ross. He beat out Kevin Kelly. I think Kevin Kelly came in second place. Kevin Kelly is if not the best, he is one of the best play-by-play announcers in any promotion. I very much enjoy his commentary from New Japan. Michael Cole, nowhere in the top 5, man. This close, Maybe next year. Poor Michael Cole. We had FTR and Tully Blanchard in Tully Blanchard's first wrestling match since 2007. And really, you go back a hell of a lot longer than that. If you're talking about his full-time run in the business, he pretty much fucked himself out of the second half of his career because he just did a lot of really stupid things in the early 90s and had some opportunities that just completely evaporated because of his own behavior. His career, for all intents and purposes, really was over around, in that 93 to 95 period. He pretty much disappeared after that. So it's been a while since we've seen Tully on a big stage like this in a match. I don't know what he was wearing. He looked like he was wearing his PJs. But they had J.J. Dillon. Unannounced, out comes J.J. Dillon to manage Tully Blanchard in his first match back in the ring. I thought that was very appropriate. They were out there to take on Jurassic Express. Tully had around his waist the old silver NWA United States Championship belt. I don't know who would have been in possession of that. I don't know if Tully would have been in possession of that. I was kind of thinking, Conrad was there, and Conrad collects belts, and he collects a lot of that stuff. I wonder if that's why he was there, frankly. Maybe it's part of his collection, and he kind of loaned it to them so they could use it on TV tonight. I don't know who owns that belt, but it's the old silver United States title that Tully had with him for the famous I Quit match with Magnum TA at Starrcade back in 1985. That comes per Tony Schiavone. So Jungle Boy, very early on, he took care of both members of FTR with drop kicks, immediately went for his snare trap submission. And Dax Harwood was a little too close to the ropes. Cash Wheeler pulled Jungle Boy to the floor. He fell victim on the floor to a snare trap. He starts immediately tapping out. So while Jungle Boy and Wheeler are on the floor, J.J. Dillon slips his shoe. Talk about old school. Slips his shoe to Dax Harwood, and he hits Jungle Boy with it. Only gets a near fall. Tully tags in. He teased. This was great. So Tully gets in the ring, and he teases doing a dive out of the ring. And then he stops himself, and he starts strutting. He starts strutting around the ring. That was cool. I like that. He's like, fuck that. I'm not doing this dive. I'm too old for this shit. Tully Blanchard is 67 years old. He ain't doing no dives. Ricky Morton is still doing dives. He's 62, I think, 63. Tully Blanchard ain't doing dives at almost 70 years old. So Cash Wheeler, he went for a corner splash, fell into a boot from Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus was able to tag in. And Luchasaurus ran wild on FTR. He tossed Marco's stunt into Tully for a crossbody that took Tully down. Luchasaurus hit a double German before going for a chokeslam. Dax Harwood escaped. Harwood avoided a corner spear. He sent Luchasaurus into the post. Wheeler pulled Luchasaurus to the floor. Hit a swinging DDT, and then FTR hit the Old Power and Glory, the Powerplex, man. The Superplex Frog Splash combo. I fucking love that move. I only wish it was used as a finish. Breaks my heart a little bit more each time when they use it and then the person immediately kicks out. Especially because it was Jungle Boy. I like Jungle Boy, but, I mean, for fuck's sake, Jungle Boy should not be kicking out of the Powerplex. If it was a bigger guy, I can excuse it. Jungle Boy should not be kicking out of that move. So Wheeler hit repeated suplex bridges. One of them, though, got interrupted by a splash from Marco's stunt. Tully hit his signature, the old slingshot suplex to Marco off the ropes. A little bit of old school action there. Tully and Luchasaurus then came face-to-face in the ring. Tully was trying to beg off. And Luchasaurus hit the tail whip kick, took him down. Jurassic Express hit their tag team finish. They mentioned the name. I didn't catch it. Oh, God. It's a play on word. Oh, Thoracic. That's what it was. The Thoracic Express hit their move. Wheeler kicked out. Jungle Boy tried to hit a dive on Harwood and Tully, but they were outside the ring. Camera guy is in the way. And you could kind of tell just based on how they reacted. Okay, clearly this was a spot that was, designed to go that way. Question is, is it a regular cameraman? Is there somebody under the face mask? They were wearing a face mask and a hat. We couldn't see who it was. But the cameraman attacked Luchasaurus, hit him in the head with the camera behind the referee's back. And FTR and Tully hit the assisted spike pile driver. Tully Blanchard pinned Luchasaurus to win the match for his team. After the match, the cameraman gets in the ring. He pulls off the mask, and it is Shawn Spears. It's very weird. I just got a question from somebody actually yesterday. Asking me, actually, I believe their exact email was, I know I shouldn't care, but where has Shawn Spears been? And my response to that person was simply, he's around. They just don't have anything for him. And then boom, 24 hours later, look at that. He's back on Dynamite. And all of them, JJ, Tully, FTR, Spears, they're all celebrating and embracing in the ring. Out from the tunnel on the stage walks Arn Anderson, who looks on very approvingly at his former Horseman stablemates and everybody in the ring, and he flashes 4 fingers. So I don't know if that was just a moment where they just wanted Arn out there for a second because it would have been cool just to have him out there with JJ and Tully. Or is it actually going to lead somewhere? Is Arn Anderson maybe going to try to recruit someone or link up with them? I'm going to guess it was just meant to be a moment. It's not really meant to be anything more than that. If you are a fan of old school NWA, if you are a fan of the Horsemen, you probably enjoyed this. I thought it was a nice bit of nostalgia. I wouldn't want to see this every week. Tully Blanchard back in the ring for 1 week, fine. If Tully Blanchard is going to be back in the ring again in a week or two, that's not fine. But as a one-off, again, for the nostalgia, Tully, I thought, held his own in there. The match itself was, it was, fun. Match was fine. It was a good match. The question now is, is this their little Horseman faction or whatever they're going to call it? You've got Shawn Spears, you've got FTR and Tully. Are they going to recruit one other person? Is it going to be 4 men plus Tully, or is it Tully plus those 3? I assume they're going to be a group. I don't know what they're going to call themselves. We haven't really talked about that idea in a while. Remember months ago, we were talking about this idea they were teasing of maybe a Horseman-type faction, and then they just kind of dropped it. They got away from it. Now it seems like they're revisiting it. I said, Shawn Spears, he never went away. It's just a case of they don't have anything for him. He's just not, he's not a top guy in this company. So he's one of these guys, a good utility player to have around. You can plug him in wherever you need him. And if a spot opens up for him, then that's what they would use him for. If he's going to be part of a faction, I think that's probably the best place for him to be. If he's part of a group, that probably is the best role for him to get him on Dynamite because, in terms of individual feuds, I don't see one for him. He's not going to wrestle. If he has a TNT title match against Darby, that'd be a one-off, and then what? So honestly, this might be the best way to get him on TV and get him more TV time. For all of the Shawn Spears fans who are out there, there's at least one. I mean, I got that email yesterday, so I know they're out there. I know you guys are out there. I know you're listening to this or watching this right now. You should be very happy. Shawn Spears is back. Tony Schiavone. He walked over onto the stage to introduce his new broadcast partner for AEW Dark Elevation, which begins March 15th on YouTube. That is the new show. That's in 2 weeks. Or 10 days, I guess. And he brought out Paul Wight, the Big Show. Obviously not under that name, making his official AEW debut. His new slogan, it's on his t-shirt. His new logo. It's in his Tron video, too. It says, "No BS." Which is, a nice little play on words. That can mean exactly what it sounds like, or it can mean no more Big Show. I see. Very, very little clever play on words there. No more Big Show. So the first thing that Paul Wight says when he walks out, he goes, "Raise your hand if you saw this turn coming." He knows. He's self-aware. He knows. He knows. The guy turned 6 times before he even got to the ring. From the entrance tunnel to the ring, Paul Wight turned another 6 times. So he's poking fun at himself. And, it's the Mutual Admiration Society here. Tony is talking about how it's great to work with you again. And everybody calls you Shawn, or if people are calling him Shawn Spears, and these people need to get their heads checked. Everyone calls him Paul Wight. I call you G. I assume that, is from his days as the Giant. But then we get down to brass tacks. And Big Show says that he's got a big scoop. Hasn't told anybody. He's got a big scoop that this Sunday at Revolution, which he called Evolution. Oops. This Sunday at Revolution, AEW is going to be announcing, I believe it'll be him. He'll be there to announce the signing of what he called is a Hall of Fame, you say worthy or level? Hall of Fame level, Hall of Fame worthy talent. And he said, it's not who you think. That was his only clue. It's not who you think. So let's think about, who would people think? Who is the first name that people would think of? We all know who it is. Who's the one guy that people have been crowing about ever since AEW formed, thinking he would be in? He hasn't been, but he is a free agent. He is a big name. He is a Hall of Fame level star. CM Punk. So is he saying that it's not Punk? Or maybe it is. The other name that most people might think of, actually very friendly with the Big Show. They work together many times. Also a free agent right now, as far as anybody knows. Brock Lesnar. Now, when I talked about the Big Show last week, signing with AEW, and I said, even though they really, WWE really wasn't using him, right? You had to know that Vince McMahon, when he found out about this, was not happy. Because the Big Show is one of his guys. He'd been there over 20 years. He's the Big Show. When Big Show first came in, Vince would make comments about how, you're going to be like my next Andre, right? And even though it's been 22 years, there's no part of Vince McMahon, I'm sure, that enjoyed watching him go over to the competition. Now imagine if Brock Lesnar showed up at Revolution on Sunday. How do you think Vince McMahon would react to that? I don't think it's Brock. But I'm just saying, for as upset as Vince might have been about Big Show jumping, just imagine if it were Brock. It would be an explosion like Mount Vesuvius. I don't think it's Brock Lesnar. You know what? Punk? It could be. It could be. I mean, Punk is a free agent. Punk can go anywhere he wants. And, AEW has to be very careful here because now they've gone public and they've said, we've got a major signing. We've got a major announcement to make on Sunday. Watch the pay-per-view if you want to find out who it is. They can't turn around now and have Carlito come out. Not that Carlito would be looked at as a Hall of Fame, caliber talent. They've got to deliver somebody big. And I'm sorry, it's not good enough to have Kurt Angle come. I know, at some point, I think all of Conrad's people, except I guess Bruce Pritchard, well, that would be a hell of a coup. I feel like all of Conrad's podcasting people are going to end up in AEW at some point. Kurt's his newest one. Kurt Angle now has a podcast. I love Kurt. Kurt signing with AEW. I mean, look, there does have to be a point in which these legends and these guys who are well into their 40s and 50s, you got to just close off the well for a while, right? Bringing in Big Show, that was a big shock to a lot of people. I think he could excel on commentary. I'm sure he'll do a match here and there. At some point, though, you got to turn the faucet off and stop the water from running for a little while. But if they can get a big enough name who can still go, will it make an impact? You know, will it bring in new viewers? I mean, will it make a big splash on Sunday? I guess we'll find out. Somebody like Kurt. Kurt's retired. Kurt Angle is retired. I don't want to see it be Kurt Angle. Who else would it be? You know, if not Punk, if not Lesnar. I was thinking, after tonight, I was thinking Ric Flair. He was the only big horseman name who was missing. Ole is not going to do anything. I mean, Ole Anderson hates everybody's fucking guts. He wishes everybody would just drop dead. I kind of wish they would give Ole his own, you know, with a 7-second delay, of course. Give him his own little 3-minute rant segment on Dynamite every week just for my personal entertainment. Kind of like Jim Cornette had on Raw for a little while, back in 97. Maybe Ric Flair is just, you know, he's a little jealous. You know, you got Arn, you got Tully, you got JJ. Maybe Tony Khan could help Ric Flair and Arn Anderson patch things up. I heard Ric Flair was so sad talking about how he and Arn aren't close anymore. Like a sad little puppy dog. Maybe Tony Khan can help them patch things up. What a big signing that would be, right? 72-year-old Ric Flair. It's not going to be Ric Flair. I don't know who it is. I think of the names I just mentioned, though, honestly, I think Punk would probably be the most likely of those names, and I'm not even really... I honestly don't even think it's him. So I am genuinely curious, and for one, I hope word does not leak before Sunday. I would like to be surprised. But they've put themselves in a position now where they have to come through with a big name. Because if they don't, there's going to be a lot of people who are very disappointed. Maybe it's not a former WWE name. Maybe it's a name from New Japan. That opens up a whole other wealth of possibilities. I guess that would really depend on somebody being available who maybe we're not aware of. You know, it's impossible to just... We can play the guessing game all night. The one thing I will say is they have to deliver a big name now. Because if not, it's just going to be a letdown. It's sort of like Tony Khan. He went on Twitter yesterday and he said, I just had a conversation with a good friend and I'm making a significant change to one of the matches on Dynamite. And I joked and I said, well, I hope Shaq is ready for his first ever exploding barbed wire death match. But I figured it was a major change to one of the matches. I briefly thought that they were going to take Cody out because Cody has a shoulder injury and slot Paul Wight in there. And it was going to be Paul Wight and Red Velvet against Shaq and Jade Cargill. But what was the big change? The major change? There was a 10-man tag involving the Dark Order, and he changed it to a tag team match, which was our main event tonight with Hangman Page and John Silver against Matt Hardy and Marq Quen. That was the major change. You got, when you make proclamations and announcements like that, words matter. Words matter. See, I am of the belief that, and this is a good life lesson, I think, I would rather, instead of over-promising and under-delivering, I would rather under-promise and over-deliver, or not say anything at all, and then boom, hit people with a big surprise that makes them go, wow, I wasn't seeing that coming. And I think far too often in wrestling, and it's not just an AEW problem, they kind of hype things up so much and they over-promise, right? And they over-hype. And sometimes these things, it's just impossible to live up to the hype because immediately people think, oh my goodness, who's it going to be? What's it going to be? And we've seen AEW do that a few times. When I saw what the actual change was to the card, I said, really? That's it? I wouldn't exactly call that a major change. But that's just me. We had the finals of the Women's World Title Eliminator Tournament with the winner facing Hikaru Shida on Sunday at Revolution for the AEW Women's Championship. It was Nyla Rose against Ryo Mizunami. Her first appearance in the States since Double or Nothing 2019. Nyla Rose beat Thunder Rosa. And actually, no, I'm sorry. Well, let's take it back a little bit. So the Bleacher Report match on Sunday, I think it was Riho against Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa got bounced from the tournament. That was a bit of a surprise. You guys know how I felt about Britt Baker losing to Nyla Rose. Not happy about that. I thought that was just an insanely stupid decision. But here it is, Nyla Rose taking on Mizunami here, which was kind of given away. People knew Mizunami was being flown in for this show. They're not going to fly her in unless she was advancing in the tournament, so that kind of spoiled it for some people. But Nyla Rose, she walked over to Mizunami, picking this up here midway through. Went up top, hit a swanton bomb. Mizunami rolled out of the way. Nyla got up, charged at Mizunami. She moved, held the top rope down, and Nyla went tumbling out onto the apron. Ryo knocked Nyla to the floor, followed her outside, and Nyla slammed Mizunami's head onto the apron. So Nyla climbs up onto the apron. She's posing. Mizunami trips her, and she went to the ropes, dropped a leg on the back of Nyla's head, and Nyla Rose returned to the ring, beat the referee's count. Mizunami threw some forearms at her. She fired back with one shot that put Ryo on her knees. And Mizunami stood up, traded clotheslines with Nyla. Mizunami got the better of it, ran the ropes, took a big clothesline from Nyla, who followed up with a Death Valley driver for a near fall. Nyla draped Mizunami over the top rope. She went to the ropes and hit her that flying knee drop that she does to the back of a person's head. Covered Mizunami while I think it was who was it on commentary? They kind of said something here that spoiled this was not going to be the finish. That's one of my pet peeves when it comes to commentary. AEW does it, not as much as WWE does, but WWE does it all the time. It really just kind of takes you out of the moment when they do that. But Mizunami put Rose down, went to the ropes. Nyla got up, cut her off, hit a superplex, coming down to the finish here. And Mizunami came right back with a German suplex, speared Nyla Rose. She went up top, hit a guillotine leg drop for the win. So Ryo Mizunami pins Nyla Rose to advance to the finals. Well, actually, I guess she won the tournament. I keep thinking of it as the finals on Sunday, but no, the tournament's over. She won the trophy tonight. What she does now is she advances onto the pay-per-view on Sunday for a shot at Shida and her championship. Now, Shida was there. She entered the ring, presented a championship cup to Mizunami. Mizunami accepted it very graciously. The women shook hands, and then Mizunami blasted her with a forearm. Shida came right back, though, with a forearm of her own, and ended up putting Mizunami down. And that was it. They kind of showed each other a nod of respect. And that's your women's title match on Sunday at the pay-per-view. It's going to be Hikaru Shida defending against Ryo Mizunami. Let me get the positives out of the way first. Nyla Rose has shown some improvement. We have not seen a lot of Nyla Rose in recent months. And I've commented on this before. How did Nyla Rose advance so far in this tournament over people who have been featured more often on TV? That didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I haven't seen a lot of her work in the last several months because she just hasn't been featured on Dynamite. She has improved from the last time that we saw her. She had a good match with Britt Baker. This was also a very good match here between these two women. Does not change my opinion at all that it was a mistake to not send Britt Baker to the finals and win this tournament and have Britt Baker challenge Hikaru Shida for the championship on Sunday. This was booking malpractice, what they did here. Ryo Mizunami, very good pro wrestler. Didn't know much about her coming into this. I'm betting a lot of people don't know a whole lot about her. Now look, She may go to Revolution on Sunday, and her and Shayna may tear down the house. They may go in there and have a strong style match where they beat the hell out of each other for 15 minutes, and it turns out to be a great match. That is not what the match should be. I'm not a fan of putting somebody in the finals and then in the championship match on your pay-per-view. I don't believe that she's going to be here on a permanent basis. She's not an active, full-time part of the AEW roster. I didn't even know her until the last few weeks when I first heard that she was slotted into the tournament. And I started watching some of her matches. I saw some of her earlier matches. Why is she going to the championship match against Hikaru Shida? Why not shine a spotlight on the people that you already have on your roster, and you have a great heel in Britt Baker, who I think could have been the one to take the title from Shida. Shida's been champion now for almost a year. And I think that this was a good chance to kind of move Britt Baker up a level. Give her a run. Give her a heel run as the champion. You know, they've resisted putting the title on her up to this point. She's done some of the best character work of her career in recent months. So I just think, despite however the match on Sunday might turn out, and it might be a great match, I think it is booking malpractice to have booked the end of this tournament the way that they did. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But Nyla Rose has had back-to-back good matches on Dynamite, so good for her. But it should have been Britt Baker in that spot. Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone, a man of many responsibilities here on this show. He was interviewing a whole bunch of different people, including Sting. Sting came out for an interview. He said that his preparation for the pay-per-view involves, he actually thanked Brian Cage for powerbombing the shit out of him because it kind of woke him up. He should be thanking him for what he did to him. Shook off the rust. Ricky Starks came out. He admitted that, I've seen some fire from Sting, but I stand by what I said. You're not an icon. You're no icon. Sting attacked him after Ricky slapped him. Hit a Stinger splash in the corner, hit the Scorpion, or applied the Scorpion Deathlock. He actually sat down on it a little bit. Anytime I've seen Sting do that move in the last several years, his knees aren't what they used to be. He just kind of stands there. It just looks horrible. This didn't look that terrible. It didn't look great. But at least he did sit back on it a little bit. I said, if he can't do that anymore, that's fine. You've got the Scorpion Death Drop. You don't even have to use the Deathlock anymore. But, whatever. He used it here. Powerhouse Hobbs ran out. I don't know. It looked like maybe he tripped over somebody. I don't know what. It looked like he was about to hit the ring, and then he kind of stopped. And he was like reaching in and trying to pull Ricky Starks. I'm like, why don't you just get in the ring and beat the hell out of this guy? Taz's son, Hook, he ran in. He tried to pull Sting off. And Darby Allin came out to make the save when Brian Cage was about to powerbomb Sting for the second time. So Darby saved him. And that allowed Sting to hit a Stinger splash on Cage. Allin hit the shotgun dropkick off the top rope. And Team Taz had to regroup outside the ring. And that was your final bit of hype heading into the street fight on Sunday. So this is going to be Sting's first match in 5 years. 4.5. On Sunday. Very clearly, I don't believe it's going to be a cinematic match. I think it's going to be a regular street fight. I don't know if it's going to start in the ring. I don't know if they're going to start in the back of the building, if they're going to be on the football field, if they're going to be out on the street, in the parking lot. I have no idea. It's going to be a test. And there are ways that you can, protect Sting. Obviously, you don't want him to take any ridiculous bumps, but hey, you're throwing him into the fire. Apparently, he's been cleared by their doctors, and he's got no restrictions, and it's all good with Sting. And hopefully he'll be smart. And as long as he doesn't take any buckle bombs, I think he'll be okay. That was a very stupid thing for him to do. 5 years later, I still can't get over that. But as long as he's smart about it, hopefully he'll be fine. And we'll see how he looks. When he does one or two moves like he did tonight, he looks fine. One Stinger splash in the corner. Scorpion Death Drop. No problem. Full match. A little bit different. We had Max Caster of the Acclaimed. He won the 5th spot in the Face of the Revolution ladder match on Sunday with a win over Preston Vance. That's 10 of the Dark Order. Dark Order walked out with him, only -1. The Child was there. -1 walked to ringside with Preston Vance. Scorpio Sky sat in on commentary for this. He's already in the ladder match on Sunday. He is already qualified. Max Caster, he in his rap on the way to the ring, made a comment about Lady Gaga's dog walker, who was shot a few days ago. Ooh. How edgy. How very cutting edge of you. I just thought that was fucking stupid. So Caster went up top. He went for an elbow drop. A 10 rolled out of the way. The guy's still in the hospital? I think he is. I think he is still in the hospital. You know how they say on some of those things, ooh, too soon, too soon? I think on that one, it's probably too soon. Now I'll have all the idiots, oh, lighten up. Lighten up, Solomonster. He didn't die. Lighten up, man. Idiots. So 10 caught Caster on the ropes, powerbombed him, went for the pin. Caster put his foot on the bottom rope. Referee was distracted. Jack Evans pops out from underneath the ring with the boombox. Hits 10 with the boombox right in the head. And Max Caster covers him for the win. So he qualifies for the ladder match on Sunday. Afterwards, Matt Hardy walks out. He has an envelope in his hand, so we can all see. It says very clearly on the envelope, $4,200. So he paid Jack Evans $4,200. Give me $4,200. I'll hit whoever you want in the head with a boombox. I'd hit whoever you want in the head with a boombox for half that. Jack Evans made $4,200 for a very short night of work. Not bad. So now we have this ladder match on Sunday. And we have an open spot. We have 5 guys who qualify. We have I believe there's 6 spots. So the final spot is unfilled as of this moment. And, you know, they could always debut somebody new, I guess. But Sammy Guevara, I guess it really just depends on how long they want to keep him out for. I'm thinking maybe Sammy Guevara, you know, takes that spot, makes his big return, and maybe wins the entire thing. Whoever wins is going to earn a TNT title match at some point in the future. The main event was Hangman Page and John Silver of the Dark Order against Matt Hardy and Quen of Private Party. Skipping ahead here, because this main event really, it just wasn't anything special. This really had no business being in the main event. I don't know why they ended with this, I guess, outside of them wanting that big brawl at the end that is just so played out. It's so fucking played out. You know, how many times did we see it for the Rumble? But not even the Royal Rumble. I mean, even in AEW, I feel like we've seen that before. I don't know. I wouldn't have ended the show with this. I don't know what I would have ended the show with, but you put the format in front of me, I would have figured something out that would have been better than this. Hangman Page took advantage, hit a fallaway slam on Quen, plancha out onto Hardy on the floor. Quen stomped on Page when he got back into the ring, but he got caught with the Death Valley Drive. Hangman tossed Quen into the corner. He was demanding that Matt Hardy tag in. Hardy refused. Quen was able to kick out Page's knee, knocked it out from under him, tagged in Matt Hardy, who called for the twist of fate. Page countered it with a back suplex before John Silver tagged in. Silver immediately was just beating the hell out of Matt Hardy, hit a spear, hitting just kick after kick, spine buster. He was going crazy here. Quen took out Hangman. Hardy downed John Silver with a back suplex. Quen hit a missile drop kick. Silver tagged in Page, and the two of them worked together in sync. Big flurry of moves on Quen. Buckshot lariat for the win. Matt Hardy had a chance to break up the pin, but did not. And after the match, he attacked Hangman with a microphone, was beating him in the head with it. Dark Order ran out to make the save. -1 was on stage directing traffic. And then out came all of the teams in the casino battle royal at the pay-per-view, big brawl. And that is how they went off the air. I said at the beginning, a tale of two shows, I think. The second hour was very paint-by-number stuff. I really wasn't overly impressed by the second hour. It was fine. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. the first hour of the show was a lot more interesting to me, and I think the opening match was easily the highlight of the entire show. I'm still very impressed by how things turned out. I mean, there's so many things that could have gone wrong with that opening match. Even botched moves and people not knowing, where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. And again, it just worked out as well as I think anybody in that company could have expected. If I'm them, as soon as those guys came through the curtain, if they're having like a post-show party or something, I'm drinking to that, I'm having a big party tonight after seeing how that match turned out. Now the question is, how much publicity, if any, does the company get out of it? Does it make a difference in the ratings? I am very curious now to see if there's a bump in that opening quarter. And if so, how high does it lift Dynamite? Because I don't think Dynamite's doing 1 million viewers. Even with Shaq in the ring. I think they'll easily win the night. But I don't think 1 million viewers is guaranteed. So on Saturday, there's going to be a special edition of AEW Dark at 7 p.m. on YouTube. The Revolution card on Sunday has Thunder Rosa and Riho against Britt Baker and Reba on the buy-in pre-show. Miro and Kip Sabian take on Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. The face of the Revolution ladder match for a future TNT title match. Paul Wight will make an announcement about a major signing in AEW. Who will it be? Who will it be? Let the guessing begin. Shida against Mizunami for the AEW Women's title. Hangman Page against Matt Hardy. With their earnings on the line, we were told, including their licensing money for the first quarter of 2021. Sting and Darby Allin take on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage in a street fight. We've got the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. Young Bucks defend the tag team titles against Chris Jericho and MJF. Kenny Omega against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Exploding barbed wire death match. Somebody gonna die. Remember that episode of Beavis and Butthead? Prank Call. I think it aired during the Super Bowl halftime show one year. It's probably like 20 years ago. And they were prank calling this guy. His name was, I don't know, I think his name actually was Harry Sack, I think was his name. Which, of course, they can't contain their laughter at the idea of this man named Harry Sack. And they just call him over and over again until finally he buys caller ID. And so it shows their information on the display, and he just crushes the beer can in his hand. He says, "Somebody gonna die." I always remember that. Always remember that. So yeah, on Sunday, somebody gonna die. And the only question is it going to be Kenny Omega or Jon Moxley? Thinking Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is having a kid. Jon Moxley is going to have to go away soon. This could be his swan song for a while. This could send him off to paternity leave. I don't know when Renee is due. It's got to be soon. But Jon Moxley is not winning the championship back. I might record a separate predictions video for all the matches. I'm not sure if I'll save it for the podcast on Sunday. If I do anything, though, it would just be a video. I'll record and get it up on the channel. Maybe at some point in the next few days. But that is the card. That is the full card as it stands for the pay-per-view on Sunday. And these are the Twitter results so far. Dynamite running away with it. 87.3% thumbs up to 12.7% thumbs down. Over on the NXT side, we've got almost 62% thumbs up to 38% thumbs down. As far as what you guys thought of the NXT program tonight, look at this freak. X-Pac rules with his shirt open. Look at this guy. Look at this freak. Terrible. Terrible. Not the true heel master, though. He's great. Thank you for the 550. I appreciate it. So, I am very curious what you guys thought of this show and the big Shaq match tonight. Curious if there's divided opinion, if the consensus is that the match impressed you and exceeded your expectations. I suspect that's the case, but let's see. Patrice, Shaq against Great Khali in a chop fight next week. Well, why you would even want to put that evil into people's minds, I don't quite know. But hopefully nobody with any authority is going to actually see that, because that would be fucking terrible. But thank you, Patrice. Ryan Spies, I will never doubt AEW again after that mixed tag match. That was incredible. Brian Anthony Rivers was hoping that you would be at the press conference. I know! I never got my invite. I would have attempted to fly down there. I never got my invite, so I couldn't ask my question. Jason with the super chat. Which of these two matches is a worse WrestleMania main event? Paul London against the Hurricane or Kevin Thorne against Gangrel? Thorne and Gangrel, just because I think the other match would be better. Naif Alsafar, thank you for the $9.99. Ryan Spies, wild prediction, Hall of Fame talent is Kurt Angle, and he manages someone. You know, again, I think that would be a letdown. I think if you're going to announce a major acquisition, a major signing, it's got to be somebody who's going to be an active wrestler in the ring. Whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time. Kurt, look, God bless Kurt. He's retired. Kurt's best days are behind him. We already have Sting back. Sting's going to be in the ring on Sunday. We had Tully Blanchard in the ring tonight. Big Show is going to be wrestling a few matches here and there. I think they've reached their quota for now of those guys. You're going to have to come up with somebody a little bit better and a little bit younger. I would be disappointed, honestly, if it was Kurt. And I like Kurt. I love Kurt Angle. But that would be a disappointing announcement. Ryan Spies, rest in peace, Jim Crockett Jr. Did he pass away? See, I know he was in very bad shape. And apparently he was getting dialysis treatment, and I believe he had refused dialysis, or he wanted to be taken off dialysis. So let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, this is from PW Insider. And it does mention here that Jim Crockett Jr. passed away at the age of 76, just days after going into hospice care with what was said to be kidney and liver issues. And, that is true. On a show, we think about Jim Crockett Promotions and the old NWA. On a Dynamite show tonight that had Tully Blanchard and the old NWA United States Championship and J.J. Dillon and Arn Anderson, it is kind of fitting. Not that it's a happy thing, but it's kind of fitting of, that kind of news would break on a night like tonight, that there would be a major breaking story and it would have to do with Crockett Promotions. It's kind of eerie the way these things work sometimes, but that's very sad. Very sad to hear. He's a major figure in wrestling history. Crockett Promotions. There's a lot of people watching this stream right now who probably grew up on Crockett Promotions and was a huge fan. That's what got them into wrestling in the first place. And he played a vital role in that. So that is very sad to hear. Tyler Williams, Shaq Cargill against Cody and Red Velvet was the personification of overbooking. Loved the table spot, but outside of that, too much going on. Not enough structure. So there's your first critique. First person who really did not like the match. It comes from Tyler. Peter Sanders, I'm hoping this is building to King Maxwell against -1 in a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit of death match for control of the Dark Order. There you see the Big Show's reaction. That is my reaction to your suggestion, but thank you for the super chat. The Cheeseburger. Shaq and Jade impressed the hell out of me. By the way, Jade Cargill reminds me of Raka Khan of TNA. Overall, good show tonight. Well, don't say Raka Khan. If Kurt Angle is coming back, don't mention the name Raka Khan. We don't need any of that drama around here. Oz and Glorious. Awesome show. Shaq and Jade were so much better than I ever expected. So much fun. Stoked as hell for Revolution. The True Heel Master, Shaq and Jade against Cody and Red Velvet match did not disappoint at all. Joe Olivo, thank you for the $20. I appreciate that very much. Shaq and Jade were awesome tonight in the opening match. Great selling by Shaq with the table bump that he took from Cody. Who do you think is the free agent that is debuting at Revolution? We already covered that a little bit earlier. You can go back and listen to that. Quen terminated. What's going on, Quen? Hope you're having a good night. Did Dynamite feel backwards? The opening match and the main event should have swapped each other. What do you think, Solomon? You know, that's a good point. I don't know why they felt they had to do that match first. I thought maybe they had something bigger planned or something as big planned for the final segment, and they really didn't. So the only thing I could think of is, unless Shaq had to leave early, and I'm going to guess that's not the reason, they just maybe didn't know how the match was going to go. And they felt, you know what, let's put this on early. If it goes well, it sets a great tone for the show. And if it doesn't, well, at least we got it done early. That's my best guess on why they did that. Level 20. Talking about Jim Crockett passing away. Brian Mahoney, I made a bold prediction that Kenny Omega would retire Rob Van Dam this year in a title versus career match. At the beginning of the year, I think RVD is the new signee for his final run. I think that would be terrible. I just don't have any interest in that. I want somebody with more impact. RVD is not the level of star he used to be. Sorry, he's just not. I think that would be a disappointment if it turns out to be RVD. The True Heel Master of AEW decides to do a Shaq against Paul Wight match. Build up the match one step at a time. It's been built up for years. How much more build up can you do? This match has been built up for so long and we never got it. I don't know how much more building up they can do. CJ LaChapelle, who I believe is helping out in the chat tonight, so shout out to CJ. What are your thoughts on MJF making fun of the kid in the wheelchair? I think that is crossing the line. Well, I mean, he's done that multiple times, so you're going to have to clarify which kid. You know, look, it all depends on the situation, I guess. I've seen him, when I was on the Jericho cruise, I saw him say things to some people at the meet and greet that would get him in a lot of trouble if people saw that and heard that. And it didn't really bother me. Look, everybody feels differently about different things. I thought the Max Caster line earlier, I thought the timing of it was just shitty. Make a comment like that in a month, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't come across as low rent to me as it did tonight. Everybody feels differently about different things. He's a heel. He's going to say heel things to people. Ric Flair used to come out and look at people in the front row and say, "Hey, fat boy, I'm going to make a lady out of your wife." Today, people would be offended by that. People are offended by different things now. It's just the way it is. Everybody has a different opinion on things. Didn't bother me. Jacob Barnes, thank you for the 5. Domination Warrior, who's the best celebrity AEW has brought in? Also, when can you recall the last time a celebrity did not get the win in a segment or match? # fall and pray. Pat McAfee. All right, he lost. Although I guess you can argue what level of celebrity are you talking about here? AEW brought in Tyson. They ended up not doing much with him. Shaq, I would say Shaq, especially for his involvement. Shaq is, easily the biggest celebrity they've done something meaningful with. Uffman Entertainment, thank you for your help and support in the chat every week. So I guess we have to tune into the NBA All-Star Game on Sunday to find out what happened to Shaq after the match. He teleported. He teleported to the set of the NBA on TNT. He levitated. True Heel Master, I can't wait for Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley to grill Shaq tomorrow night on Inside the NBA. I think it would be awesome if Shaq just no-showed and they said Shaq is too injured to be on the show. That, to me, would show a level of commitment to just the gimmick, of the match and everything. I'm not expecting that to happen. He's got a job to do. I would have a new level of respect, though, if he insisted on sitting this next show out and selling the injury. Or, you know, he can be on set with like a back brace or something. Oz and Glorious. I'm thinking AEW has Jade Cargill do a Goldberg-like streak through the women's division, not like, okay. Because Goldberg wasn't a skilled wrestler and neither is she. I don't know if I would just copy Goldberg, but she has the potential to be a star. You can see that if the pieces all come together with her, the woman looks like a star. She looks like a bigger star than any other woman they have on the roster. She looks like more of a star than Riho or, you know, Serena Deeb, who's a great wrestler. The only other one I could think of really is probably Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, I think, has a great look. She's got a certain fire and an intensity about her. But the potential is there. We've only seen one match, though. She's got to put it all together. True Heel Master. New AEW 10 pounds of silver title belt confirmed. Brian Gates, shout out to Solomonster. Stay safe. Thank you, sir. Uffman, Arn, JJ, Bischoff, Sting, Jericho, Paul Wight, and Shivani equals all back on TNT in prime time. I did not notice that, but that is true. Derek Jackson, it will be Kane. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Don't, no. Big Show and Kane make the jump together to AEW? No. I was complimentary to a point of the Big Show move. That would be a bridge too far. No. I definitely do not need to see that. Oz and Glorious, it's going to be Mark Henry. Hey, you know what? That is an interesting point. Mark Henry was on Busted Open Radio, guaranteeing that he was going to wrestle again at some point this year. You know what? That is very possible. I like Mark Henry. Man. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. You know, he was on the radio talking about how I'm going to wrestle again this year at some point. So yeah, maybe it is. And he and Mark are very tight. He and Mark Henry are very good friends. Donzel Hawkins, everything you create helps me through these times. Well, I appreciate that. If this show can be of help to you even in some small way, that makes me feel very good. So I appreciate that. Dr. Marq, Paul Wight never specified he or she for the major signing. The major signing could be a woman. But the question is, who is out there? Well, you know, he was saying legendary, like Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, unless it's Trish Stratus or somebody. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Medusa, is Medusa going to come back? Would that be a letdown to people? I suppose it could be. Could be a woman. Brian Mahoney, I think AEW really wants to get Joshi wrestling over to the American audience. I think Riho and Shida are wins for them, but the best way to do that is going to be Britt Baker and other familiar women. I agree. It's fine if they want to have Joshi talent on the show. You cannot flood the show with Joshi talent. I know Kenny Omega is a big fan of Joshi, and he has a lot to do with some of these women, or a lot of these women getting their, big break in AEW. You can't just flood the show with Joshi talent that people, are not familiar with. You have women who are there. Build around some of those women. Don't be afraid. You've got some talented women on the show. Build around them. Can't just go Joshi crazy. Rodimus Prime, thank you for the $20. Good show tonight. What is your excitement level for Revolution on Sunday on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, I don't know. I would say, probably about a 7. On paper, it's a very strong show. Somewhere in that range, maybe 7-ish. Jamin John, did Mike Tyson being on Raw in 98 create buzz and a ratings boost? What the reaction to Tyson showing up was? Well, it didn't help them beat Nitro in the ratings, but it definitely got them a lot of mainstream exposure. I think it absolutely helped with the buy rate for WrestleMania that year. And it gave Steve Austin, at a time when he was really on the ascent, a credibility boost by rubbing shoulders with Tyson that he otherwise wouldn't have had. Now, Austin would have gone on to become their big star anyway, but it was very, very valuable to the company at a time when they really needed someone on that level to come in and give some rub to some of their talent. So you can't compare the Tyson, usage in '98 to anything that AEW is doing now. It's apples and oranges. The impact on WWE, even if it wasn't reflected in the ratings, they beat Nitro, and it doesn't matter. I think for the Austin push at that time, Tyson coming in and working an angle with him was gigantic. There's really been no celebrity angle in wrestling since, I think, that has given any of these companies the kind of juice, I think, that the Tyson one did. I mean, the two big ones people think of are really Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper back in 84, 85, and Tyson in 98. Magician Sapphire says, I'm loving Big Money Matt. Spanish Goddish, what's up, Solomonster? Just wanted to say hello. Since Ethan Page's debut will most likely be on Sunday, who else do you see debuting? So you think it's going to be Ethan Page in the ladder match, huh? Yeah, we'll see. He is a free agent. True Heel Master, I hope AEW adds the viewer discretion is advised announcement when they do the death match. The Moxley Omega match will shock the system. Cassidy Grooms, really love your show. You rock. Thank you, sir. You rock too. Alex Jimenez for the $15. Thank you. Hope you know Walking Dead is back. I do. I already watched episode 1. What are some Ring of Honor matches you would recommend? Love Steen against Nakamura in the Worlds Collide. Kobashi and Joe. Bryan Danielson and Takeshi Morishima had some kick-ass matches. I mean, there's so many. I can't possibly name all of them. Some of those I got to see live and in person. Not the Joe Kobashi. I wish I did, but it's too many to name. John Walker, thank you for the 5. Dirk Dastardly. Very sad to hear about Jim Crockett. NWA was my favorite wrestling show as a kid in the 80s. The True Heel Master, Vince McMahon, would destroy his office if John Cena. Hey. John Cena, Batista, or Brock Lesnar. I hadn't thought about John Cena. Oh my God. I think he would jump out of his skin. Cena has no reason. Cena's in Vancouver, so he's filming a movie or a TV show. He's filming a TV show anyway, but oh my God. I would love to be a fly on the wall. If John Cena showed up on AEW television, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Vince McMahon's office. Anthony King. Could it be Christian? No, I don't think so. Moxley did just mention wanting him in AEW. He did. I don't think it's him. Naif, thank you for the $5. Evan Watson, thank you for the 5. We met at the King's... Oh, that's right. King's Beer Garden in 2016. My voice was shot because of SummerSlam weekend, but it was great meeting you then. Big fan. Well, thank you, Evan. I look forward to the day where we can get back to doing more events like that. It's been too long. And EJ Siemp. I feel like at this point, the only people we can guarantee will never, ever jump from WWE to AEW are the McMahons, Undertaker, and The Miz. Well, The Miz has like 15 different reality shows, so he can't go anywhere. And Johnny A, thank you for the 5. Glad you like my RoboCop meme. Great show as always. Thank you for the meme and that wonderful scene where the guy in RoboCop takes the acid bath. Scarred me as a kid, but it's turned into one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. It's one of those scenes that once you see it, you can never forget it. Thank you, Johnny. All right, we're all caught up. Again, if you would like to vote, please do so at Solomonster on Twitter. That is the AEW poll. They are running away with it right now. NXT, still a very good score. I wouldn't exactly say they're running away with anything, but you can go ahead and vote. And we do a little thing here on this stream, courtesy of our good buddy Zinfamous HD. He's got a fun little tweet up on his page where we just randomly play around with his little GIF. Stop it twice. Whatever it lands on, that is the WrestleMania main event. We get to pick 2 different people. Who will we pick this week? I don't know. Let's find out. Speak of the devil. Look at that. Kurt Angle. I'm liking where this is going. I am liking where this is going. Kurt Angle, the first person picked here for the WrestleMania main event. Let's see who his opponent is going to be. I hope this doesn't turn into a disaster. Murphy. Kurt Angle against Murphy. I think Kurt Angle in his prime against Murphy right now would be a hell of a Raw match. That ain't no WrestleMania main event. I am sorry to say, but that ain't no WrestleMania main event. I think we can do better than that. Definitely think we can do better. Got some more super chats coming in, so let's make sure we get to them. Let's see. Juan, want to make sure I don't miss Juan. Juan Ocampo, thank you for the $2. If Russo was booking the surprise, how would it go? Well, I mean, it would probably be Russo himself. I mean, Russo is a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He's the greatest writer and booker of all time, isn't he? So he would just put himself in that spot. And he would be a recurring character on TV. EJ, is there heat between Heat and the Crockett family? I think you might have misspoken there. I think they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and we have seen other promoters be inducted. I don't know who you're talking about, so I can't really answer the question. Oz and Glorious, will you be attending events later this year? Post-vaccine, perhaps? I know you were mentioning before you didn't see it happening for years. I don't know about years. I don't have any plans of going to any events this year now. Next year is a possibility. Next year is a possibility, but this year is not happening. The True Heel Master, Soulja Boy, against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 37 in a street fight. Oh, I'm going to be recapping the Randy Orton Soulja Boy feud on the podcast on Sunday. Oh yes, you will want to tune in for that. And EJ with the correction, I meant WWE instead of Heat. I'm sure there was. I mean, Vince McMahon, he had heat with all the different promoters back then. I don't know if it's lingering or he put people like Vern Gagne in the Hall of Fame and Bill Watts. So I would think not. I would think that there wasn't any major lingering heat after all these years, but you'd have to ask him. I don't know. He's put so many other promoters in the Hall of Fame and acknowledged them that I don't know why Crockett would be any different. It really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But then again, Vince McMahon really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you're asking me to make sense of something that is impossible to make sense out of. But no, I don't believe that there was any heat that I'm aware of. So thank you guys. This has been fun. I appreciate all of the super chats, all of the activity in the chat. I very much enjoyed the big match tonight. I thought that they knocked it out of the park. The rest of the show was okay. It was just kind of there. You know, they were kind of just pushing things along for Sunday. On paper, it is a loaded card. So I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view on Sunday. It should be a good event. They don't have too many pay-per-views each year. This is one of the few. Revolution last year was one of the best shows all year. So if this Revolution card could even come close to matching that Revolution card from last year, I think we're in for a treat. So that's it. I'm out of here. Peace out. I hope you'll join me on Sunday night. As soon as the pay-per-view goes off the air, I'm going to be live again here on YouTube. And join me for episode 694 of The Sound Off coming up on Sunday. As always, you get a double podcast this weekend. I hope you'll join me then. Take care, guys.